Okay, so back in March, Kevin T. Porter tweeted out a rally cry asking people to share stories about Ellen DeGeneres being mean to them. And it was met with so much response that nearly every news publication has done some sort of news piece on mean Ellen and the toxic work environment that she's created. Ellen's evil side is something that was sort of known by most people who work in the industry and just spoken about in hushed voices. I mean, I'd already heard stories from friends who worked on the show. I remember years ago they even brought it up on the Opie and Anthony radio show. People who worked for Ellen shared stories, but plenty of everyday people also had stories of encountering Ellen. One in particular involved Ellen trying to get a waitress fired because she noticed that the waitress had chipped nail polish on one of her fingernails. That's an incredibly mean thing to do. A lot of other people had stories that weren't nearly as shocking, and in some cases I actually couldn't understand what part of the story was mean. There were a lot of people who didn't say Ellen necessarily did something mean to them, but just that she was cold and unengaged. I don't deny that any of these stories are true. I do deny that some of these stories are even stories. A story is a recollection of past events. Some of these aren't events, they're just expectations not being fulfilled. It's a story about something that didn't happen, but they think should have happened. I made the stupid decision of hopping into the thread with my opinion, and most people were not pleased. This one guy accused me of being a rape apologist. But I don't want to spend this entire video just talking about Ellen or talking about Twitter. What I want you to ask yourself instead is, what does it mean to be kind? First, we should probably figure out what it is to be mean. Mean is a noun, a verb, and an adjective, but of course we're talking about the definition of mean as an adjective. Most definitions note mean as being cruel, evil, or unkind. Unkind, that's another interesting term. The simple act of not doing one thing makes you another thing, if we're using this definition. That's essentially saying that all humans are naturally good until they're not. But if that's the case, why do we reward good behavior? Even if you believe that humans are naturally good, you can't deny that there is an upper echelon of really good people. Martin Luther King, Jonas Salk, this one guy on the Pirate Bay who records every single professional wrestling match and uploads it for free. People are kind, but some people are kinder. Now, let's put Ellen on the back burner just for a minute and talk about Mr. Rogers. I saw the Mr. Rogers documentary in theaters. I thought it was great. In my life, I've had a few different people tell me that Fred Rogers used to serve in the military. The story was always a little different, but I always believed the story because I loved the idea of America's dad, dressed in camo, popping out of the bushes to slit someone's throat. I went into the documentary expecting at least 20 minutes on Fred Rogers' time in the military, and instead, there was actually an entire section where they talk about how the public created rumors of Fred Rogers being a decorated war hero, and there's absolutely no truth to it. It's something that someone made up and just entered the public rumor mill. We wanted it to be the truth. We wanted Mr. Rogers to have a dark side because we all have a dark side. Isn't that why we've been spewing out anti-heroes for the past 20 years? Nearly all of the heavy-hitter TV shows of recent years star a flawed character who isn't in complete control of their emotions, and that's why we like them. Granted, those are fictional characters, so let's bring things back to Ellen. I'm much more familiar with Ellen DeGeneres as a comedian than as a talk show host. I watch clips from her show here and there, but I've seen all of her comedy specials, and I've watched her set on Johnny Carson nearly a dozen times. I really like Ellen as a comic. I mean, even if you put aside her gender and sexuality, her material itself was important for the craft of stand-up comedy. It's very alternative and very out there, but also effortless. As someone who mostly knows Ellen as a comedian, I've always thought Ellen was mean, and that's kind of what I liked about her. She's not mean in the same way that Andrew Dice Clay is mean, but she's a smartass.
You were here with your boyfriend Zac Efron last time. How's he doing?
We actually never dated.
Yes, you did. So when you...
Ellen's fans appreciate her sincerity, even when that sincerity results in her being mean to someone we see as not sincere. Some people are kinder than others, and we're okay with very kind people being mean to the regular people who may still be kind, but just not as kind. Kindness really wasn't a huge part of Ellen's brand until her talk show. Ellen's brand was a quirky, funny woman. Then for a little while, her brand was being an unemployable lesbian, so she needed a fresh brand for her talk show. A talk show that has been a toxic work environment since day one. Making kindness as a part of your brand is somewhat shooting yourself in the foot. Ellen even acknowledged this in her latest stand-up special.
It is, but here's the downside. I can never do anything unkind, ever, never, ever. I'm the be kind girl. I'm kind. I'm a good person. I know I am, but I'm a human being, and I have bad days, and I'm in traffic like you, I drive, but I can't do the things you do because I'm the be kind girl, you know? I mean, if someone does something rude in traffic to you, you can honk and let them know your disapproval, and I shouldn't even have a horn in my car. There's no reason for me to have a horn. I can't honk ever at anyone.
People often share this story of how Steve Buscemi used to work as a firefighter, and he put the uniform back on when 9/11 happened to help the New York Fire Department find missing people amongst the rubble. We love this story because it's not something Steve Buscemi told us about. Steve Buscemi might not even want the public to know that he did this. It's kindness without seeking recognition, and that's our favorite kind of kindness. I think the story is a little surprising for some people too, because most of Steve Buscemi's most popular performances are mean, creepy characters. We love finding out mean people are nice as much as we hate finding out nice people are mean. Ellen made a mistake in making kindness a part of her brand because it was very inauthentic to who she really is. But I also think anyone is making a mistake by making kindness a part of their brand because it's turning your goodwill into a commodity. I will say that Ellen deserves to be in the hot water she's in right now because Ellen has been mean. She victimizes people when she can get away with it. She turns a blind eye to the abuse of her staff, and oftentimes she's the one doling out the abuse. But Ellen is not mean because she didn't talk to you when you ran into her at the airport. And she's not nice because she donated thousands of dollars to charity. Kindness is the brand. Ellen DeGeneres is the person, and everyone's upset because they bought into the brand instead of the person. Ellen, the person, speaks openly about her mental health issues.
Many people who loved me overnight just hated me, just because they knew I was gay. Everything changed. And I went through a depression, and people made fun of me, and people were writing articles about me, dissecting the whole process and why I did it and that I shouldn't have done it.
And it is kind of a cliche adage, but hurt people hurt people. It's nice to think that someone who's had really awful things happen to them was able to turn the other cheek and just let love in, but it looks like that's not the case. Ellen isn't a superhero. She's jaded and petty like the rest of us, and she's in a powerful position that lets her do a lot more harm with those internalized feelings. But we give people who have a reputation for being nice a hall pass. People were talking about this for years, and we didn't care because it was one person sharing one story versus daily doses of Ellen showing off how nice and authentic she is. People are only talking about it now because about 3,000 people came forward at once, and celebrities are still defending her because Ellen was nice to them. We've created this caste system where we make it harder to call out certain people because of how many good deeds they've chalked up over the years, and that's why you end up with people who specifically do good so that they could get away with bad. I don't believe people are naturally kind or mean. I think we're animals trying to survive, and anyone who sticks their neck out to do something kind for someone else should be rewarded. It's a crazy, irresponsible thing to do, but they shouldn't be rewarded with immunity, just rewarded with acknowledgement and maybe a cupcake. Because good people want the world to be better. And if they want the world to be better, they would want you to call them out on their bullshit so they can take ownership of it. I hope Ellen takes some time to figure out where her anger comes from and how to create a better work environment for her staff. And during her time away, I would just like to mention that I have filled out an application to fill in for her as the host of The Ellen Show. If you would like to reach out to me, here's my email. No big deal. Thank you for watching.